those things that we want and we work hard and we sweat over and put a lot of effort, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make this happen. I'm working on it. I'm working real hard. So all of a sudden you say, well, if I download a habit, can I, think out of that habit? I go, no, because that's not how it learns. Consciousness is controlling your genetic activity. The things that come into your life that you like, they come into your life because you have a program to accept them. But those things that we want and we work hard and we sweat over and put a lot of effort, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make this happen. I'm working on it. I'm working real hard. Why are you working so hard? And the answer is not because the universe won't give it to you, is because unconsciously your program does not support that destination and you're trying to override it with extra work and effort. So then life becomes a job, more or less, trying to get those things you want when your program unconsciously is sabotaging you. When people say the mind, the idea that, there's a mind, a single mind, I go, well, that's the first mistake. There are two minds. We mentioned conscious and subconscious. But we also have to mention this. They each have a different function, and most importantly, they learn in different ways. So the conscious mind's creative, and that means it's the one with the imagination and things that you want and you desire, and you can put that in, and you could read a book, a self-help book, and you say, oh, I got all this knowledge now from this book, and I went to the lecture, and I did all these things, I got all this knowledge, my life hasn't changed. I go, well, that's because the conscious mind, being creative, can learn in any number of different ways. You can just go, aha, I have a new idea, and your conscious mind can change. The subconscious mind, by definition, is the habit mind. And I go, significance. Habits resist change, because if habits change, then they're not habits anymore. So all of a sudden you say, well, if I download a habit, can I, think out of that habit? I go, no, because that's not how it learns. And so the conscious mind, and most people are very smart. I'm sure, look, this audience has been listening to you for a long time. They got great understanding, and many of them will go, yeah, I really understand what you've been talking about, but somehow or other, with all that knowledge, my life is still the same. And I go, that's because when you educate the conscious mind, that's easy. But that process does not create a habit. So you can have a super smart conscious mind, all the data, all the material. I read the book, I know everything about it. I go, yeah, but that doesn't change the program on the inside. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to give myself a good talking to. And that's where the joke comes, because I say, there's nobody in the subconscious mind. It's the exact equivalent of a hard drive in a computer. It's got programs in it, there's nobody in it, and you can talk till you're blue in the face with the conscious mind, trying to tell the subconscious mind, change the program. I go, that's not how it learns a program. We believe so many issues and diseases are associated with genes. And I say, well, when I was teaching in a medical school, what was I teaching doctors? Well, at that time, genes turn on and off, and genes control the character. And then I say, well, as far as you know, you didn't pick the genes, and if you don't like your characters, you can't change the genes. And since they activate themselves, then you become a victim of your heredity. Oh my God, there's cancer running in my family. I have a cancer gene. And I go, okay, let's get to a real simple fact. Less than 1% of disease is connected to genes. Less than 1%. 90% plus is all stress related, okay? So all of a sudden I say, well, you want to try to adjust the genes. I said, the genes didn't have a problem. It was the stress that was causing the problem. And now with the new science, it's called epigenetics. It sounds like genetics, but epi means above. So what we call skin, we're not victims of the genes. We understand now that we actually control our genetic activity through our consciousness, or subconscious, more importantly, because that's 95% of the time. But then the most important question comes, what chemistry should the brain put into the blood? What chemistry? And then comes the answer, which is so blow away, and the answer is this. Whatever picture you hold in your mind, the brain translates that into complementary chemistry. If I have a picture of love, my brain releases wonderful things into the blood, like dopamine for pleasure, oxytocin to bond with others, a growth hormone. And growth hormone does exactly what it says. So when you're in love, you're releasing this growth hormone, which enhances your vitality. And that's why when people fall in love, they get so healthy. They get, they say, oh, look how they glow. They're so in love. And I go, this is the chemistry of the blood engaging the behavior of the cells. But I say, well, but what if I'm holding a picture of something that scares me? I say, well, you're not going to release love chemistry. You start to release stress hormones and factors that affect the immune system and all that. I said, well, that's a different chemistry. I go, yeah, just like in the culture dish, a different chemistry leads to a different genetic activity. And all of a sudden it says, oh my God, your thoughts are being turned into complementary chemistry, which then controls your genetics. And this all of a sudden says, well, then if I want to change my genetics, do I have to go in and change the cells in the genetics? I said, no, it's changing your thought. That's all you have to do. That's a massive number. And then recognize, but that 60% is coming from the subconscious. So the individual playing that subconscious is the one that they're not even aware they're playing this subconscious. So their life seems to be out of control. Oh, I want to be happy. I want to have a great job. I want to have a great romance. I said, that's conscious wishes and desires. Conscious wishes and desires, subconscious habit. Well, how do you change a program? That was the issue. Not how you change the conscious mind, how do you change the subconscious mind? Because it doesn't learn. Conscious mind learns by just whatever you read the book, I learned it, okay? Subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I say, how does it learn? I say, well, in the first 7 years, that's when I said the programming went in. The brain wasn't functioning at the higher level of consciousness. It was actually a little lower. That was called theta, the vibration, the imagination and all that. When you get tired, you lower the vibration of the brain. And the moment you fall asleep, actually, consciously, the next level of activity of the brain is theta before it goes down to the lowest vibration, delta, sleep. It turns out, and this is really most important, is if you focus on the destination and not on the means, let the system, which is so powerful, it will get there without you telling it how to get there. But when you start to interfere and say, okay, now I got to make sure I swing it right, my head's level, my grip is right, and all of a sudden you're putting all these details in. It's like, no, don't focus on the details. You forgot what the end was. The end was the ball is supposed to go over there. And so that starts to come in because now you're trying to control everything with your, with this manual control. And it's like, no, you don't have to have the manual control. Matter of fact, that gets in the way. Yeah. The body knows what you want. You don't have to tell it how to get there. That's a big issue in our lives because I want to be successful. How? Oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. And I say, oh, you're planning all these things, and your conscious mind is not even the subconscious is 1,000,000 times more powerful, a computer, than the conscious mind. So I say, you're going to take this little small conscious mind and try to run the bigger computer. It's like, that doesn't work. Let go of the control. And this is the whole thing. I mean, it's I just came to my mind. A lot of people say, let go, let God, or something like this, some phrase that people always say. And I go, well, that's actually the way to do it. Focus on what you want, but don't try and tell the universe how it's going to happen. Don't tell them that I'm going to do this and this is going to happen. I go, no, you just focus on what you want. The intelligence of this supercomputer, the subconscious supercomputer, it will handle it unless you put your hands into the machine. I said, keep your hands out of the machine. Focus on where that ball's going to go. I mean, he already practiced. Remember, I said, we did the habit. We did the practice, whether you're driving the car or hitting the golf ball. Practice, practice.